Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. It's Sunday night. We're back in the swing of things as always. We're going to take a look at how Bitcoin did versus the Bitcoin miners this past week. It wasn't great. There was only two miners that did actually better than Bitcoin this past week. We'll talk a little bit about it, why that was the case. We'll also take a look at some updates on the charts and metrics and things like that. I did a bunch of updates over the weekend here. I'll show you guys that after we go through the weekly on Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. And then we'll get into Q&A. It should be a pretty easy one, okay? But as always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice. For only do your own research. Full disclosure down below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, as you guys always know. But Bitcoin didn't do too well over the weekend, which is fine. It's better than having it go on a parabolic rise on the weekend and get a gap on the CME futures. So I'm okay with it. Bitcoin was up, down a little bit here. Let me zoom this in a little bit so we can see it better on the chart. We can see here that on Saturday was down just a little bit here, down 0.46. Sunday was down a little bit also, 0.83. Closed at 89,886. We're up a little bit here on the new day for Monday now. We're at 90,410. And that's okay. Miners had, for the most part, had a pretty good day on Friday. Single-digit gains on all of these guys except for one really. Digital was the only one that was down. It was down 2.51%. Everybody else was single digits here, looks like. Nothing major happened there. And ETFs were up as well. So things were good on Friday, right? We'll see how this week pans out for us. We are still kind of trading sideways here a little bit on Bitcoin here. In the last couple of days, we've been up and down, but more or less sideways. So that's okay. I think we're in the accumulation phase again, starting out a little bit here on Bitcoin. RSI is still a little bit overheated here on the daily right now. As you can see here, it's about 73 right now or so. On the 4-hour chart, it has come down to approximately 55 or so, but you can see here also kind of trading downwards a little bit slightly, not too badly. And 1-hour chart, that's been kind of going up and down here a little bit, depending where Bitcoin is right now. And the 15-minute chart here also, had a nice run up here in the last, what has it been, a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours or so, and it's been coming down a little bit here. So we'll see how Monday plays out and the rest of the week. I expect us to be either trading sideways or going up. Right now we're just in that kind of phase where I think things need to cool off a little bit here. We need Bitcoin to come down maybe a little bit on the daily as well. Get the RSI below the 70 here mark a little bit. And if we also look at the weekly here, weekly's kind of not too high, but weekly still could go up higher if we wanted to. We had nice 2 great weeks here. And the last week and the prior week to that as well, we were up 17% there. The prior week, last week, we were up 11% on Bitcoin from Sunday to Sunday. I track it from Friday to Friday. So there are some differences here. The numbers we're going to look at here in a second. But overall, it was a good 2 weeks here in a row. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we had a little bit of a pullback here if that happens. We have had many times where Bitcoin has been going up multiple weeks in a row. Then we kind of go sideways here, kind of what we saw here, right? And then goes back up even more as well. So I'm expecting this to possibly go sideways or go up a little bit here, some more. Time will tell, though, right? Nobody really knows what's going to happen here. We'll have to wait and see how much adoption we have, everything else happening with institutions, pension funds, countries. So there's going to be exciting here in the next 9 to 12 months, basically, on that one, okay? But that's basically Bitcoin here. We can take a look at the Bitcoin network hash rate here right now, and the 30-day average continues to climb higher here. We are at 727 exahash right now, and we are basically in the middle, a little bit past maybe the middle of November here. So we still have December to get through, and I think we'll be close to like 800 exahash by the end of it all if things play out the way they are. Tomorrow we'll look at in tomorrow's video, we'll take a look at the network hash rate increase in October along with how much the miners increase. We'll look at that data there. We'll kind of look at it a little bit here today. I want to point out to you guys the updates that I did to all the charts and everything else. All right. So that's it on that one. So let's take a look at the monthly here for Bitcoin here so far. Bitcoin's up 28.95%, almost 29%. It's having a great month of November. It's definitely better than what we saw here in 2015 and 26, or at least in 2016, which kind of this cycle is kind of playing out as we saw September being in the green the 2 years in a row, which we saw in 2015 and 2016. But we're definitely having a much better month here in November, but also we had a much weaker month here in October. So that might be just the averaging out itself possibly, but man, hope it continues, right? If we get it up to 35, 40% up this month, that would be fantastic, and that would probably lead pretty well into December as well. So we'll keep an eye on it and see how that does going forward. Okay, so that's it on that. So let's take a look at the weekly performance here over the miners. And on this first chart, we look at the miners, how far they are from the 52-week lows and how far away they are from the 52-week highs. So recently here, we can see TeraWolf is up nicely, 610%, right? The only thing that's driving that stack up is Drunken Miller investing in the company, along with, I think, Cohen as well. So you got two sizable and two notable investors in investing in TeraWolf. There you got also the HPCI hype there. That's really driving it. It's not based on their Bitcoin operations or Bitcoin mining. It's all HPCI hype right now. So I keep saying this over and over. They need to really deliver on a great customer that's going to basically warrant this type of price increase that we're seeing here. If they get a small customer that's anywhere between $10 and $15 million a year or something like that, that's not going to cut it. At that point, I think the stock will take a hit. So we really need to see something from them here in the next couple of weeks. This year, I think. They've stated that as much. Core has, Core, why? Core's up 506%, right? They got a great deal with CoreWeave, and that's going to be materializing for them here next year, especially possibly sometime in the first half, maybe towards the end of the first half, somewhere around there, when they start generating the revenue for the CoreWeave deal with them. That's 12 years, right? It's a huge multi-billion-dollar deal there going forward. So they're going to be generating revenue there. So, okay, I can understand why Core is up on that. And then you got Hut 8 here now. Recently, Hut 8 has been on a wild ride also, and a tremendous growth in stock price here in the recent, I would say, maybe 8 to 12 weeks or so. They have done fantastically here. They're up 308% from the bottom. And what's driving that one? It's also their HPCI potential there, right? Code 2 investing in them. You got Anthony Pompliano also kind of pumping them a little bit as well. So they have just a lot of things happening for them right now. We'll have to see what kind of deals they also come up with for HPCI. And then you got IREN being up here 275%, and that's more based on just the Bitcoin mining and growth that they've had this year. And then Cleanspark up 247%. That's also based on growth and everything else, but definitely much more muted than what we saw with HPCI plays. And you got Cypher up 207%, BitDeer 183. Bitcoin from the bottom here of 52 weeks is up 155%, and you got Bitfarms, Marathon, Hive, and Riot underperforming here currently. We still have Cleanspark, the one down the most from its 52-week highs here. It's down 43%. So it still has a lot of room to run potentially here. I also listened to not only people on X, but I also listened to Cleanspark, Matt, with Rex Finance. And he talked about this, right? That some of the institutions are basically hedging their bets. So they're investing in MicroStrategy, ETFs, things like that. And then they're also shorting the miners potentially as well. And he thinks, and others on X also think the same thing, that eventually that will basically cease to be the case. And at that point, the miners should do much better, especially like the pure plays and things, the ones that are growing tremendously, which I also think the same thing. But yeah, that's kind of how the things stack up right now. So we got Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Marathon, and Riot. Still quite a ways away from the 52-week highs that we reached this past year. And then IREN as well, close to that. You got Bitcoin being only 2.5% away, right? It reached new all-time highs. Hut is getting close to their all-time highs as well. Same with TeraWolf is coming back down a little bit. But Core is definitely still continuing to go up in its uptrend here going forward. For last week here, there were only, like I said, two miners that actually did better than Bitcoin here. Hut 8 was up 29%, BitDeer was up 24%, Bitcoin was up 19%, and then you had everybody else underperform or way underperform here last week, even though we had a really good weekend price appreciation for Bitcoin here. But Marathon was only up 9%, Cleanspark up 3%, Bitfarms was basically flat on the week. IREN was down 3% along with Riot, Hive was down 5%, Core was down 7%, along with Cypher, and then TeraWolf was down 13%. So it wasn't a great week. We started out really strong with the miners and everybody else here. We were up, 20, 30% on Monday, but man, by the time we got to Wednesday, things definitely changed on us quite fast. And that was the thought process for that was the institutions, the big money was covering their bets. They were trying to bring things down so they could cover their shorts possibly as well. So that was just a combination of those things. And I think going forward, it's going to be a bumpy ride, but I think still the miners we'll do much, much better, especially as Bitcoin goes up even more. But we've been in this kind of funky place here recently with the miners. Okay, going down here, you can see the weekly on this. We can see last week a little bit more green than others, but it's not as great as the prior week that we had here on the miners at that point. So the miners have had a huge run up here, and that's possibly why they were kind of beaten down a little bit as well. All right, let's see. That is it. Yeah, I mean, you can see here, let's see here. I don't think I have it in here, how much Bitcoin was up as far as last week, but it was up huge, right? Okay, but that's it. So I also told you guys that I've done a bunch of updates here for a lot of these charts and metrics and things like that. So I'll just go through them relatively quickly here. So all you guys that are Patreon members and YouTube members, you guys will get the latest updates on this probably tomorrow. If I don't get this out tonight, we'll get that out to you guys. So you guys will have the latest and greatest numbers that I do have and everything. I've updated a lot of these charts here, and also the format just to make it all more uniform. I had some of these sheets looking completely different from other sheets, so I wanted to kind of get a uniform look across the pages here, or sheets, I guess. So you can see Sats has been updated here as well. Quarterly, I still have to do that one. That one's going to be updated here this week sometime. Shorted has been updated here, but I haven't updated the short information yet, so I still need to do that for the latest data that I'm going to pull in this week as well, so that we'll talk about that. Institutions we already talked about here. I updated this as well. We're including a little bit more data here as well. We have percentage owned by institutions, analysts, high price target changes, all that, number of institutions, all that stuff. So that's being updated here for a more uniform look. Monthly has been updated as well. So that's going to be a lot easier to, I believe, read for you guys as well. And it's just more uniform. It's just easier to look, easier on the eyes, I guess you could say, right? All this data is being updated for you guys. And then enterprise metrics has been updated a little bit as well. Stock performance here, we're looking at over time, how the stock has done over, from beginning of October, beginning of the first half of this year, from the beginning of the year, from basically the bottom in 2022. So that's all being updated as well. Market cap has been updated a little bit as well. We included shares outstanding. BTC hash rate comparison, we'll take a look at this. That's been kind of updated here as well, but we'll take a look at that later on this week. And then comparison charts, this is completely brand new here. I'm pulling a lot of this data from where is it at? Miner comparison here. So I have a lot of data in here, and I thought it would be nice to just get the charts out for that, make it easier to read for you guys. So we have hash rate growth, percentage over the last 12 months, exahash rate over the last 12 months, percent of the network hash rate, how much they command of the network hash rate, current hash rate, future hash rate, percentage operational future hash rate. So these are all new here. And then Bitcoin comparison, year-to-date BTC mined, how much they mined in the current reported month, year-over-year BTC mined difference. So you have a lot more stats and just data on the miners at quick and easy access to it. I hope at least that's the case. And then current BTC HODL, and then the value of the current BTC HODL, and then that's it. So a lot of updates here for you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, just wanted to make it a little bit more uniform and look a little bit nicer than what we've had in the past. All right. So that is it on all this stuff. And as always, you guys know, Patreon members and YouTube members get access to all this stuff. So Patreon membership is, the link for that is down in the description as well. It's $8 a month, and you might be able to find a couple spots that are like still $4 and $5 at that point. All right, but let's get into your guys' questions here. See what you guys have to say, what your thoughts are on this week and everything else. So let's get to it. Let's not waste any more time, because we're only 15 minutes in, so we're doing pretty good here. All right. Also, questions. If you guys could, and start your questions with a question or a Q. That way, at least I know that's a question. And then just be patient. It's going to take me a little while to go through all of them if there's a lot of them, but I will try to get through them all. Okay. I'm going to go up through the ones that have been already posted here, or at least try to find some, and then we'll get through it. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, crossing to it. Okay, here we go. Rex Wells asks, "Hey Seb, could you explain your PE numbers, please, which I believe determines your valuations of the miners?" Yes. Okay, so we can go through that. Let me pull up one of the spreadsheets here for the miners. Let's just do, gosh, I don't know, we'll do Marathon, okay? And so here's a chart on Marathon here. I go down here, and I use a PE of 20. So my original thesis targets or thoughts on this was I'm going to give higher PE to miners that are growing tremendously, right? So like a 20 PE for their growth. Miners that are growing nicely, like a 15. Miners that are growing on average about a 10. Miners that are barely growing, like a 5, and then less than that. So that was kind of the thought process behind that. Yes, the miners can get a much higher PE ratio value, especially in the bull run. We've seen in the past bull run, I think Marathon actually got like a 40 plus PE ratio. Riot got like 30 some also as well. So those can definitely increase here in the bull run because they just become so much more profitable than my 50% net income or 75% income numbers here. So that's kind of where my thought process is behind it. Is it exact? No. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But it does give me at least a ballpark value as where I think the miners should be based on, the growth, things like that, operations, more or less. And it is subjective, I guess you could say, right? So you guys could use other values for this as well. Okay. All right, let's go back here. All right, what else we got here? All right. The Rex guy pumps Cleanspark all the time. Yeah, he does. Yes. He's been in them for quite a while now also. Okay, let's see here. Very risky holding miners that only keep pace or lag BTC. Yeah, you need miners that are actually growing, right? You need miners that are outpacing the network hash rate growth. So yeah, I would agree with you there in a sense. All right. Sebastian and everyone, what do you think about buying Cleanspark tomorrow? I bought 2,500 shares on Cleanspark at 13.45 and sold at 13.28 since I was nervous since it's 80% of my lifetime savings. Any advice to me? The only thing I could say is with these guys, it's going to be a bumpy ride, but I think that it's going to be worth it in the next 9 to 12 months. And you just got to be patient with it. Right. They're going to be very, very volatile. So you really have to have the stomach for it, I think. And if you haven't been in this cycle before, it is going to be gut-wrenching, I think. If this is your first cycle that you're being in the miners. So that's the only thing I can help you with. I've been through this cycle before. I round-tripped Hive last cycle in 2021. You learn from your mistakes. And, hopefully this time around, I know a little bit more about all Bitcoin, the miners, everything else, which helps me stomach the volatility, I guess, in a sense that I know where I want to get in and where I want to get out. So I've been buying in since 2022. Yeah, beginning of January 2022, I've been buying into them. And I still own the miners here. I've been buying them. I bought some more last week as well on the dips. So that's, be patient, I guess, is the only thing I can say, is be patient. Get as much information as you can, whether it's from me or from others as well on X, wherever it might be. Get as much information as you can on it to see where things are going with Bitcoin, the miners, and everything else. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can find other questions here. Let's see. Okay, we talked about that one already. Okay. Yep. Question, Seb. The most powerful miner right now is HUT due to the price movement. Why is that? Co2 investment in them. Anthony Pompliano also backing him, or I think he's being paid by them. They're talking about energy, things like that, but it's basically to pump them, I believe, on that one. So you have those things happening for them. And that's basically, they had a really good quarter also. They were positive on the EPS, 1 cent, right? They improved their managed services business, right, where the revenue increased on that. That was a nice thing for them. They also have a huge hodl there. That could be also part of it there. Okay. All right, let's see. Question, do you think Ben overpromised and under-delivered? Yeah, it does kind of seem like it, doesn't it? Right? They were talking about 12 exahash by the September quarter, end of September quarter, and then they were talking about 21 exahash by the end of the year. Seems like that's been kind of pushed out a little bit here. So we'll see how much hash rate they grow in November, and then I'll decide whether or not I want to keep the stock or move it all over into like Cleanspark and IREN. Okay. Let's see. Rob says Ben has only had 1 quarter as CEO. I give him a pass. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely new in that spot, right? But he's also been the chief mining officer there. So he should have known that they can reach or not reach those targets at 21 exahash, because I think that was mostly guided by him there. So, yes, I'm willing to give him a pass, but I'm also a little bit more critical of him, I think, because he was the chief mining officer there. He was the one that was kind of driving that boat towards their growth, I think. I could be wrong on that, but that's kind of the way I see it. All right. Talked about that. Okay. How much will IREN price be on February 2025? I have no idea. Depending where Bitcoin's at. Do they get to the 31x that they're planning to get to by the end of the year? That's going to be a big thing as well. Do they get an HPCI customer there? That's going to be not easy to, I would think much higher. Bitcoin goes up as well. Okay. Let's see. Question. Good evening, Seb. Good evening to you. What is the current short data on Cleanspark? Also, what do you think their year-end numbers will look reporting in a few weeks, I believe? Yeah, they should be reporting in a few weeks. They're doing their fiscal year-end numbers here, which always takes a little bit longer because they have to go through the audit part of it as well. So Cleanspark here, I have them at for Q3, which was their Q4. I've been being down a little bit, 89 million from 104 million. They do have a sizable hodl. Bitcoin did go up a little bit here, so it's not going to bring in a lot for them at that point. See, at the end of September, they had 8,000 basically of Bitcoin. That's probably going to be valued, at that time was probably not valued as much as it is right now. But I would think, given that Q2, let's see what was their Q3 or Q2. What did they come in at that point? They came in at, where's the numbers here? They were $1.03 negative. Prior to that, they were actually in the positive, right? 14 cents and 59 cents for their Q1 and Q2. I'm expecting Q4 to be also negative, just a slight negative, but negative nonetheless at that point. You got depreciation in there that's going to be included in there as well. Probably some share-based compensation and whatever else that might be non-cash. But that's kind of what I see, at least right now, considering that their revenue has come down. Now, their new Q1 should be much better, especially with Bitcoin price being in the 90,000s here, possibly going to 100,000 by the end of the year. So that should be much better. But yeah, I'm expecting Q3 to be at least a slight negative EPS on them. All right, a lot of data here. All right, let's go back to that one. Q&A. Okay, talked about that. Kaz says, question, Ben said 250,000 possible this bull run. What do you think? Optimistic. My original target was 180,000 this bull run. That was before we had the U.S. possibly putting Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. So that's, yeah, if we get that, I think that is going to be enough to pump Bitcoin to 250,000, if not higher. So that definitely does change my thoughts on it. Okay, Bevneet asks, question to all TA folks are saying 150,000 will be the top of the cycle and then a huge drop, 30 to 50,000 range. They also said it would be in or before January. What do you think? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. Too much adoption happening right now. There's only one caveat with that, as always, right? We can't see the future in advance, and we can't really know what the thought process is by the institutions. The institutions right now, with the ETFs and everything else, they want to make as much money as they can. So if they got 250,000, then you want to drop it down. I mean, you could short it, right? You could possibly short it. But with Bitcoin ETFs, you want to pump those things as much as you can. And then if we have a strategic reserve as well, I mean, that's just going to bring on other things. I saw on X something about the current Polish candidate for president. Has like 33 Bitcoin right now, and he said he would put it on Poland's strategic reserve as well if he was elected. So you got this game theory happening now where other countries are looking to put it on their balance sheet as well. So I just don't see that happening unless something really, really drastic changes, right? And the thing that could drastically change would be a world war of some sort, right? Which hopefully we never get to that point. But that's the only thing I could think of. Let's see. Question, the DXY at 106.67 could be why the miners can't run risk off. Could be possibility of that. I think it's more manipulation by the big dogs, to be honest with you. I don't think it's that. I think it's just, if it wasn't risk on, why is Bitcoin going up like crazy? Bitcoin is like one of the biggest risk on things as well. Yes, the miners are a little bit more because they're just so much more volatile than Bitcoin is, but yeah, I don't think that's the case. Okay, let's see here. I really can't imagine why IREN's stock price has risen less than Cleanspark. Is it because the stock dilution is too severe, or is it because IREN doesn't hold any Bitcoin? It could be that they don't hold any Bitcoin. Dilution, I don't know if the dilution was worse. Let me see if I have the dilution numbers here. I don't know if I updated those yet or not. I don't think I have for the dilution. Let me see here. Where's my dilution quarterly stats? Yeah, I don't think I updated that yet. Dilution quarter over quarter. Yeah, I haven't updated it yet. I still have Q2 versus now, so it would be. Well, I'll get that updated once all the miners have reported, but I don't know if that's more dilution or not. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay. But CORZ doesn't hold any Bitcoin either, so why has CORZ stock performed better than IREN's, or is it due to the lawsuit filed against them? Lawsuit might be just a small fraction of it. I don't think it's a huge portion of it. The reason CORZ has been doing so much better is they have CoreWeave deal with them for 12 years that's going to generate billions of dollars for them. So that's the reason why CORZ is just up tremendously here. All right. Do you think MicroStrategy is going to dip tomorrow? That I don't know. I know that they were talking about doing another ATM or something like that to buy more Bitcoin, but they follow Bitcoin pretty well here. I don't know if they're going to dip though. Okay. Question said, Mara is on track to mine around 900 Bitcoin for the month of November. They have been killing it. Where do you see Mara January 2025? If they're looking to mine like 900 Bitcoin, that's going to be fantastic because they only mine like 654 or something like that in October. So that's a huge increase. That's like getting their operations back up to where they were like last year in December, where they mined 1,800 Bitcoin. So that would be fantastic if they could get their operations that much higher on it. I think that would be great. Where could they be in January? Depends where Bitcoin's going to be. But yeah, if they can improve their operations, I think they could definitely be up higher than where they are right now. Okay, let's see here. Question: you seem to sound like you're questioning the future miner stock value. Do you still see 60ish for Cleanspark, 70ish for IREN, etc.? Yeah, Cleanspark, I need to see their updated numbers for shares, right? So how much did they increase their shares over the last quarter? That will tell me if they are 60ish or now if they're going to be like more like 55ish or something like that. But if Bitcoin goes up to 250,000, that could actually be pretty low, or at least very conservative in my opinion on that point. Because my price targets on these guys were based on Bitcoin getting to like 180,000. So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. I'm still extremely bullish on the miners here long term. In the short term, yes, we're going to have this volatility with the miners where they go up sometimes and down sometimes when Bitcoin's going up. Or Bitcoin's going up, they're going down, right? It's going to be volatile, but eventually I think it's going to get better for us. All right. Question: how would you implement new FASB rules in December, weigh in the market cap and appreciation of the miners, and how would taxes affect them? How bullish is this? Okay, so I don't know how taxes would affect them. I'm not an accountant in any sort. The FASB rules have been already, the miners have been taking advantage of that since basically Q4 of last year. So we saw that. I don't know if MicroStrategy has been taking advantage of it, but they definitely could. I'm sure they will. But definitely helps out the miners, especially Bitcoin going up in value. The FASB rules, when you revalue your Bitcoin, you can increase the difference between. So if it was 60,000 in Q3, now it's 100,000. You're up 40,000 per Bitcoin. That goes on your ledger there and looks a lot better. So from that regard, it should do really well for them. But the opposite is also true. When Bitcoin is going down on them, that definitely does put a much bigger sting into them as well. Okay. Let's see. Question: do you think Riot dumped shares of Bitfarms this past week after the big pump on Monday? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Okay. All right. Question: any comments on Hut's mining efficiency? Oh, it's terrible. But it's a good thing that they're getting newer miners. That that's at least a good thing there. They're averaging around like 20 days, 18 days, depending on the months. They're either underclocking their machines, because we have them at, I think it's 5 point something exahash. They're operating like 3 something exahash. So definitely not great there, but they're older machines, less efficient, and that's why I think they're either underclocking or only running them once it actually makes sense for them to run them. All right, let's see here. Thanks again for the hard work. Yeah, you're very welcome. IREN looks good to me going into earnings. Just need a small bump on BTC to make earnings dreams come true, in my opinion. Yeah. All right. Okay. Hi, Seb. One in time. Do you see the biggest jump on miners? BTC on 91,000, but Mara is still 30% from its all-time high. Where do you see Mara with 140,000 BTC and when in time? Thanks. In time, I don't know, right? We don't know when 140,000 is going to happen. I do believe it's going to be in the next year, possibly, right? If things work out the way we think they are. And at that point, at 140,000, I mean, geez, Mara should be probably like closer to, I would say, they're at 20 some dollars right now. I would say closer to like $40, $50 potentially at that point. Question: how do you value miners that make their own machines? I'd assume producing their own hardware could reduce their costs per terahash by 60 to 80% compared to purchasing from Bitmain, MicroBT, etc. Yes, there's definitely advantages to that, right? If you can produce them, but you're also paying for the talent there, the team that designs the ASICs and everything else. So you are getting definitely a lower cost on those machines if instead of buying them from like Bitmain, like you said, from Auradine or whoever it might be. So there is some benefit to that, and I think they should get a little bit more of a premium because they are going to be spending less money on it, right? Now, the thing with BitDeer is, yes, they're doing these machines now, but a lot of their growth is going to be until second half of next year, I think, because they're just building out infrastructure right now. Had they been able to get the infrastructure in place, like by the end of this year, and then increase their hash rate tremendously with their own miners, oh my gosh, I think the stack would be doing much better. But I think right now, and the stack's doing pretty good actually from where it's been, but I think it could have done better if the timeline on infrastructure was installed faster. Okay. Question: seasonality-wise, miners should start going up November 18th in bull cycle. If they don't, it is time to rethink if they will perform or give them more time. Yes, historically, if you look at it, they should be going up. Last cycle, they started going up right around like this week, right? And they've already come up quite a bit from where they were, but this is typically where we get into that parabolic rise, not only in Bitcoin, but in also Bitcoin miners as well. So I give them a little bit more time because the cycle is already different than what we've had in the past. We had a new all-time high before the halving event. That's never happened. We got ETFs. We got, nations talking about putting on their reserves. So it is a different cycle. And then we also never had the HPC hype before. So that's taking some steam away from the miners right now as it is. Question: do you think the earnings for any of the miners will be good? Is it a good idea to sell some shares that are in the green now and rebuy after earnings? Most of the earnings have been bad. Yeah, most of the earnings have been in the negative EPS. The only one that was good was Hut 8, right? 1 cent positive there. On that one, I don't like trying to time the miners, and I think especially right now as we're getting so close to, I think, going parabolic on Bitcoin and everything else, now is probably not the time to try to time it, because let's just say, all right, you sell them now, you think they're going to go down, whatever not, and they actually go up in value, and then you're chasing them. So I would not, but that's just me. But you got to do what you got to do. Okay, let's see. Question: why do you say BTC will stay the same or go up? What made you say that? I just think based on the RSI, what I'm seeing there, I think RSI on the daily could come down a little bit, but we've also seen it where it has gone up even with it being elevated like it is right now. So I'm cautious about it. I'm saying it could either stay like this or it could possibly go up. I don't think it's going to go down, or at least not much. If it does, we might get a little candle wick there down to, I don't know, gosh, maybe 88, 87,000 and back up. Just never know. In the long run, right, I keep saying this, in the long run, I'm much more bullish than I am in the short term, because short term is going to be just volatile like crazy. We're going to be up 5,000 on one day. We're going to be down, 6,000 on another day. It's just the volatility that's in there. Not much you can do. All right. Okay. Hi, Seb. What is the difference between energy capacity under exclusivity and energy capacity under diligence? Thank you. Good question. Not sure. Energy capacity under exclusivity, that would mean that there's already exclusivity, so you already have access to that deal. Energy capacity under diligence, I believe that would be after you do the due diligence on that energy, you might be able to have access to it. That's kind of the way I would interpret it. Let's see here. Mark asks, wasn't there a short squeeze in HUT? Also, yes, there was. In the beginning of the year, it's the same one that did a short, I think, on IREN, I think. Let's see, I give a small look at outstanding shares. I don't follow HUT that closely. Yeah, the only reason I think it's running right now, like I said, because is the HPCI potential there, Code 2 investment, Anthony Pompliano as well. Those are the two things that are driving the really stock up right now. Plus, they had a good EPS earnings of at least 1 cent. They weren't in the negative. And then their revenue for managed services has increased. So that was good. All right. Okay. Let's see. I think there is no growth in Bitfarms stock until next year. If Bitcoin goes up to 100,000 because no growth in exahash, do you still think $10 is possible for Bitmain or for Bitfarms in this cycle? I still think it is possible for them. Well, I'll have to reevaluate things at the end of November, like I said before, and see where they are with their hash rate. They're supposed to get, what did they say, 20,000 machines getting installed into Stronghold. I want to see how much of those got installed. Do they get closer like the 4 exahash that we're thinking it's going to be? If that is, okay, we're up much higher. And then, yeah, and Ben has also stated in interviews and things like that, that they should have much more consistent growth going forward, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 months where they have a nice spike there or something like that. But that would be okay there, I think. All right. Question: when is Cleanspark financials? When do you feel they will stop shorting the miners? Thanks. I don't know when they're going to stop. I think, Bitcoin gets above 100,000 at that point. I mean, people are probably questioning already right now. Miners were up huge on Monday. Remember, they were up 20, 30%. And what did they do for the next 2 days after that? Tuesday, Wednesday, they drove those things down, right? They got surprised by it because Bitcoin ripped over the weekend. And then fat money, big money, whatever you want to call it, was surprised on Monday. It's like, okay, crap, things took off on us. So we got to pull things in, rein them back in a little bit, cover our shorts, possibly. So I think we're small fish in a large ocean with much larger fish in there as well. So we're kind of just, what is it? What's those fish that always swim around the sharks, right? They kind of just hang around them. We're kind of like that, really. Let's see. Question: beside IREN, who also has the cheapest all-in cost to mine Bitcoin? Thank you. Beside who else has the cheapest? Cleanspark was down pretty well. I think IREN was around 24,000 per Bitcoin electricity. Cleanspark, I think, reported 27,000. Cypher might be pretty low in there as well. And prior to TerraWolf selling one of their joint ventures, part of it, they were pretty low on that one too. But I think the TerraWolf sites they have now, Nautilus. No, not Nautilus was the one that they were joint venturing. And then the current site that they have there is like 4 cents something currently. Okay, let's see. What is the short selling situation of Riot and how many more days they will short? I don't know on that one. I'm going to be pulling the short report for all these guys here later on this week. All right. Let's see. Will Riot reach 30 by the end of the year? Bitcoin goes to 150,000 maybe, but we definitely need Bitcoin to be much higher from where it is for them to reach that. Let's see. Question: what is Cleanspark free cash flow and after stock-based comp? That, I don't know. You have to look that up in their quarterly results. Let's see here. Question: Pennsylvania lawmakers are already proposing state BTC strategic reserve. I think other states will follow. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Question: hi, Seb. Feels like Cleanspark already tops at 20 due to all the dilution. Any thoughts? Miners don't move the same anymore. It feels like I'm beating like a dead cat sometimes with this. But look at historically what the miners have done, especially after the halving event. The halving event is extremely tough on the miners when it comes to, doing well in the stock price. Look at last cycle. The miners did like crap for the first 5-6 months. Afterwards, right around this time is when they started picking up. And we saw the same thing with Bitcoin picking up last week as well. So this is usually the time frame where things get really juicy for us. And after this is where the miners really do much better going forward. So I'm still giving it a little bit more time to see where we actually end up at by the end of the year, early next year as well. But I would expect the miners to do better going forward. Also have to take into consideration that the miners are much larger than where they were last year as well when it comes to not only their financial health, where they are right now, along with the BTC that they hodl and their hash rate. I mean, some of these guys were at like 3 exahash last cycle. They're at 30, 40 exahash right now. They're going to be, generating a heck of a lot more revenue because of it. So that has to be also taken into consideration here right now. And the other part of it, why the miners have also not maybe performed as well, is because the HPC AI hype that's been happening here for the last 5 to 6 months. Everybody's talking about all this need and everything else, and all this need for data centers and everything, right? The only one that we've seen that has gotten anything really extravagant as far as the deal is concerned is Core. Digital has gotten a nice deal there as well. They're generating about $100 million a year. Everybody else is all talk right now, and we need to see some action from them, right? We need to see some deals being made. And if those deals are small, $10 to $15 million a year, some of those stocks are going to take a hit, and then we're going to see a rotation happening from those guys into some of the pure play miners going forward. Okay, so you got to take that into consideration as well. There's a lot of things that are fluid, dynamic with the miners, and where's the hash price, where's network hash rate, what's the Bitcoin price, all that stuff goes into the profitability of the miners. Truth, who is Ben? Ben is Ben Gagnon, is the CEO. He's been appointed there now. He's been there for 4 or 5 months, something like that, as the new CEO of Bitfarms. Okay, Ed says, question, my hut and my Wolf and Hut 8 positions are above 200% in profit, and Bitfarms is only at 7%. I'm going to sell Bitfarms, but it is an account that I can only trade on TSX. So do you recommend Hive or Hive over Hut 8 or in DMGI? Hive is a good one. I would probably pick Hive over DMG or DMGI. Hut 8 has had a nice run up here. They're extremely overvalued right now as it is, along with TeraWolf. Right, if we look at where is it at? Enterprise metrics here. Enterprise metrics, I mean, check this out. What's running Hut and TeraWolf right now as far as valuation per exahash, right? Take out market cap plus debt minus cash minus HODL. You get down to the bare bones of what you're basically paying for exahash there, right? And Hut 8 is being valued at $328 million right now per exahash, with having only 5 point something exahash installed, operating on average of around 3 point something exahash for the quarter, and generating much less revenue than like Iris, Cleanspark, Bitfarms, Riot, even Marathon, right? And they're being way overvalued right now. Same thing with TeraWolf. TeraWolf's around 8 exahash. I think somewhere around there. They're supposed to get to about 10, 13 exahash. But you can just see that disparity there between the ones that are catching an HPC AI bid right now than the actual miners that are generating a lot more revenue because of their, Bitcoin or whatnot. But yeah, this does not make any sense to me right now. The only thing that can explain it is HPCI hype, which has been fueling some of these guys here recently. TeraWolf definitely benefiting from it. Cypher to a certain extent as well. But some of the more pure play miners, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, Marathon, they're not being valued on. So we could be seeing, or we could have been witnessing, is a rotation from some of those guys into some of the HPCI plays. And I expect this to happen again, where we see a rotation from like Hut 8, TeraWolf, and into the more pure play miners going forward. But we'll find out on that if that's the case. But it's kind of what I'm thinking it will be the case. Okay, so that's that. What else we got here? Trying to find a couple more questions. Okay, here we go. Question. You mentioned manipulation by the big dogs. Can you please share your perspective on priv suppression? Who, when, why, until when? Yeah, I don't know who, when, why. When they're going to do it, but they're hedging their bets on MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, ETFs, all that stuff, and the miners are their hedge right now. So they were shorting those and bidding everything else up. I think eventually that will flip, or at least they'll give up on it maybe, especially as miners become much, much more profitable here with Bitcoin going up to 100,000 and so on. All right, let's see. Did you watch the Wolf interview on power mining analysis? I did not know. I decided to sell Bitfarms after watching the disappointing Ben interview and the great interview with of Wolf and CORZ. Okay, I have not. I'll have to take a look at those for sure. Okay. Question, comment. Looks like Sailor's buying again and now heavily tapping into the 221 billion in order to front run all. Yeah. That's kind of his modus operandi is, dilute a little bit, get, what do they call them? Not the warrants, but the debt, convertible debts, and then buy more Bitcoin. That has worked out great for him. Yeah, I completely agree with you here, Clinton. The miners will have its wave. Anyone that thinks the miners will stay stagnant over BTC runs, yeah, I don't think that's the case. We're still very early in this stage. Okay, let's see. What do you think gets big players to abandon their shorting of miners? Oh, miners, Bitcoin getting to 100,000 and beyond that. I mean, it's just, you do the math on how much are they going to be generating in revenue because of the amount of Bitcoin that they have on HODL either, or just from Bitcoin mining themselves. The revenues are going to be so huge. And a lot of these guys that have reached scale, oh my gosh. You can only bet against that for so long. Let's see, average transaction fee is in the tubes. Have a bull thesis for the increase in transaction fees. Those transaction fees should go up as people start trading more and more on not only Bitcoin. We did have a lot of hopes on runes earlier this year. Those did really great, especially after the halving event. But after that, they kind of died down. Ordinals, same thing. And I think we just need, hype around Bitcoin going up 100, 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, to drive all those things up again. Let's see. Question, Seb and Talking Investors both mentioned that some big players are probably pushing the miners' price down. Can you explain how is that possible? Yeah, I mean, those guys, institutions right now own, like, on a lot of these guys, over 50% of the shares. How much do you think retail, us, our small guys here and gals, how much do you think we actually own of those shares combined? I don't even think it's going to be 1%, to be honest with you guys. So they have a lot more push, whether it's to the downside or to the upside, than we have right now. And they will do whatever they need to do to make a profit, right? So that's why I say we're kind of in for the ride on that one until we get FOMO and you get a lot more people getting into these miners, Bitcoin in general, and everything else. Let's see here. Especially truly very patient. Thank you. Every day people ask about the target prices for mining stocks and you respond daily. This is probably a common challenge for all YouTubers, live streamers. I don't think it's a challenge, but it's definitely, I definitely like it. Makes me think also where I see things right now. So I definitely understand if people are curious and interested on it, and just as I am. All right, let's see here. What is your estimated target for Bitfarms by the end of the year? If they can get the 4x hash installed at Stronghold, we're looking at that point being, 15.5. So if they can get to like 16 or 17, I think that would be good. Wouldn't be great. We're definitely going to be off from our 21 exahash target, but it would be better than where we are right now. All right. Sebastian, why wouldn't a 50 billion MicroStrategy buy an elite miner like Cleanspark to buy their BTC at a fixed price of 35, 40,000 instead of buying BTC at market prices? Yeah, good question there. And the reason I think, because, for them to buy Cleanspark, you need to probably pay, in order for them to sell, like 7 to 8 billion, I would think, right? For them to sell right now. And then you also have to deal with getting more sites, getting more power, getting more miners, all that stuff goes into it, right? So the miners are a troubled business for the most part, I would say, for the 3 years, maybe not that long, maybe 2.5 years of the cycle, 4-year cycle from where Bitcoin halves to, the next halving cycle. In there, you have about a year to 1.5 years where you make tremendous money and profits and everything else. Other than that, you're scrambling to keep up with. I mean, you can still be cash flow positive, but when you include depreciation, all that stuff, it doesn't look all that great. And whereas MicroStrategy, they've figured, what's his name there? Oh gosh, drawing a blank on the guy name. You guys know what I mean. But he's done a fantastic job where he's been basically buying up Bitcoin regardless of where the price is at. He's using the debt, everything else, the collateral on Bitcoin and all that stuff. And his company is generating hundreds of millions a year anyways from his software. So I don't know how to explain it, but he's figured out like a money glitch basically on it. And he's getting really low interest on the debt that he's taking on. So and that just works out better for him that way than buying a miner and dealing with it. Now, the miners that are in the space, yes, they're going to be mining at 30, 40,000, whatever it is. And Bitcoin being at 158,000, 200,000, they're going to become much more profitable at those times as well. All right, let's see. Question, didn't Riot agree not to sell any of their Bitfarms shares for a year? There was some kind of agreement there. I'm not sure if it was for a year. I think they have the option to sell if they so choose. But I think there's some caveats to it. How high can Bitfarms go even if they only receive 15 exahash and BTC considerably at 150,000? Well, I still think they're going to be close to $10, if not more, or at least should be. The only thing is, like I've said before, is Riot overhang on them. Riot owns 19.9% of the shares there. There might be some fear that Riot might actually sell as Bitfarms price goes up, so that could possibly keep Bitfarms shares down, I guess. All right. Question, you are saying that this cycle is probably performing similar to 2016, 2017, where BTC price was flat on January. Do you really think BTC will be flat this January with Trump inauguration? Thanks. I don't know. I'm just saying that it's similar to those cycles, right? Because if we look at it here, we can see here in 2015, 2016, we had the two green Septembers, right? Which were having the same thing the last year and this year. And then we're kind of playing out the same way as like we did here. So yeah, if we look at January was flat here in 2017. But look at the other months that we had here. We had huge gains here in February. March was a little bit down. April, 32%. May, 52%. June, 10%. 17% in July. 65% in August. We were down a little bit in September, but 47% in October. 53% in November. And remember, December is when we peaked at 19,000 something in 2017 with 38% gains. If we have that, I mean, if you run the numbers on it from where we are right now, well, let's do that here. Let's see if we can do that on my calculator here really quick. We're at 90, let's just say we're at 90,000 right now, as it is. Where's my calculator? Oh, gosh, too many apps here. Okay, so we're at 90,000 right now, right? Let's say we go up in December here. Let's see, 2016 cycle, we went up 30%. So 90,000 times 1.3. 1.3 equals, we're at 117,000, right? So that's kind of where we would be at the end of December. January is going to be basically more or less flat for us at 4.04. So I'll just leave it where it's at. March, we go up another 23% roughly times 1.23. So by that time, we should be at about 143,000 roughly. Then we're down 9%. So we'll do times 0.91 times 0.91. And so that gets us to 129,000 here by the end of March. And then we'd go up another 32%, so times 1.32. If it plays out that way, now we're at 170,000 here in April. I mean, if we do a 52% here, 0.152, I mean, we're at 259,000 then in June or May. And you got 10% on top of that. I mean, geez, we could be, if you run these numbers, we could be over 300,000. I think they were going to be a little bit more subdued than what we saw here, but I still think we're going to have a nice rally here next year nonetheless. All right. What else we got here? Okay. If Riot were to sign a deal similar to CoreWeave, what would you expect for the stock price to be? Oh my gosh, at that point, I mean, you're looking at it should be at least double or triple from where it's at right now because you got that revenue just coming in there, and then it's a different story at that point. So that's kind of where I would think at the very minimum it should be a double, triple. And then on top of that, with their Bitcoin mining and everything else, I mean, the stock would go up even higher. All right. Let's see here. 20,000 miners have not delivered to Stronghold yet, so no growth for Bitfarms at the end of November, Seb. You may wait until December to decide to sell. Thoughts? No, if they don't grow, I'm going to be trimming my position. If I sell everything, I'm going to be trimming it pretty fatly. I may leave a little bit just to see how the stock does, and I'll put it into Cleanspark and IREN. But definitely need to see some growth here because, yeah, we're getting into this bull run here. We need to see growth. Okay. Question. When looking at the supply and demand after the OTC desks are wiped clear and no one is selling, what do you expect the miners to do? A lot of the miners are still holding on to what they have. Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot. Then you got others that are selling more than that. But, I mean, yeah, you got 450 Bitcoin that's being produced or generated a day. And if there's just so much more demand, well, supply and demand economics would state that we would go up much higher in value because the demand would be there. And eventually, if the demand or if the price goes up high enough, the demand might actually get a little bit weaker, or at least the supply might increase because people might actually be selling at those price points, right? So 100,000 might be one of those, 150 might be one of those, 200,000 might be one of those as well, where people would be selling at those points. Let's see here. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming in here. Let's see. Question. Any thoughts on once exited taking a position in SBIT Ultra short to profit off the winter cycle? I've never shorted things in the past. I may think about it doing it this time around. I may. There might be something to it. Tesh says, Seb, how you doing? I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for coming in. What is your personal opinion on why IREN won't domicile in the U.S.? I know Dan posted on X saying they are considering it, but why wait so long? I feel like if they did sooner, their stock would be higher. Potentially, yeah. I don't know what the delay is. They have stated that they eventually their operations. I think their operations right now are pretty much more than 50% of the revenues are coming from the United States. Anyways. I think that's just depending on the tax laws and everything else from where they are right now to where they're going to be moving into the United States. That's the only thing I can think of why they're considering it. Okay. Can Bitfarms stock chase up to other bigger miners like Marathon, Cleanspark, Hut 8? Actually, when it comes to Bitcoin mining, Bitfarms is already bigger than Hut 8. But when you're talking about the stock price, I mean, I would, based on the numbers I'm seeing for them Bitcoin mining, I would think so. But the market can be more unrational longer than we can be solvent, I guess you could say. So what I think doesn't always go out the way into the universe or go into the miners themselves, right? As far as appreciating, because yeah, okay, I understand the hype around HPCI and everything else, but man, they're getting way overvalued on that stuff unless there's really a significant deal. So it's just, sometimes it is frustrating. I can tell you that one thing. It's like, this shouldn't be valued the way it is, but it is. That's why I'm saying the market can be rational longer than we can be solvent. Okay. All right. Is it a good idea to shift from Bitfarms to Cleanspark? I think if you've lost conviction in Bitfarms, I would say Cleanspark's definitely got more growth here happening. They're going to be at 50 exahash sometime in Q4. We're guessing on that. I think that's kind of also what they reported. And they got a HODL position that's much larger there. So Cleanspark is my number one position there that I have right now. So I do think that they're a better operator. But I was seeing kind of the same things I was seeing with Cleanspark with Bitfarms, maybe on a little bit smaller scale. But that's why I got into Bitfarms, and that's why I also got into IREN as well. Similar things. So it's definitely your choice, right? I'm not going to say that you should stick into Bitfarms, but I'm saying myself that I might be getting out of Bitfarms myself. So definitely take a look in the mirror, see what you think, and if you have conviction there or not. All right, talked about that. Let's see. IREN and Cleanspark have very similar performance year to date at 12 months and the last 30 days. Why are some getting so freaked out over IREN lagging? Yeah, I don't know. The IREN did go up to $16. It's come back down. It's going back up now, though. Yeah, it's tough to see that, especially people that bought in at higher prices. I understand that. a lot of you guys that have been with me for a long time have been probably buying these miners at a much lower cost. So you're probably doing a lot better than a lot of people here, coming in a little bit late. All right. Talked about that. All right. And miners will probably underperform the rest of the year and do nothing. Bitcoin, on the other hand, will probably rip over 100,000. I don't know about that. The miners have so far have done better than Bitcoin for the most part. I think I have a chart for that here someplace. Where is it at? I think it's under stock performance here. Yeah, take a look at this here. This is a pretty good chart, right? This is how the miners have done from the beginning of October, right? Bitcoin's only up 48%. You have a lot of miners that have done better, right? Not the 2x or 3x that we were expecting, but that usually happens here as Bitcoin goes up much higher. Price from 7.1. Okay, at that point, you can see Bitcoin is up 43%. You got quite a few miners that are kind of even with it, some that have underperformed. And you got Hut 8 Core outperforming here quite nicely. Price from beginning of the year. Bitcoin is 101%. TeraWulf, Core Scientific have outperformed here quite nicely. Others have kind of lagged as well. But then if you look at from the bottom here of where we bottomed out in the December of 2022, and I'm using the from 1/3/2023 basically, you got Bitcoin being up 442%. You got Hut 8, Marathon, CleanSpark, Iris, Cypher, and TeraWulf outperforming Bitcoin here at least by a little bit. Some of them are like 2x on Bitcoin already as it is. But you're up huge. So it depends when you get into them. And if you got into them at a higher price point, try to dollar cost average into it, right? I was buying CleanSpark at $9 when it was back in January of 2022. And same thing with Bitfarms. Bitfarms I was buying like $5 or something like that, but I just dollar cost average into them. So that helped me out tremendously, to the point where I'm now up on CleanSpark still, 230, 240%, whatever it might be. Bitfarms I'm still up 50%. So it just depends on when you get into the positions and if you're able to dollar cost average into it, I think, as well, at that point. Okay, let's see. All right. This question: since miners topped off last cycle before Bitcoin did, you think Mara will 3x from its current price if Bitcoin hits 120? 3x from here? I would think it would need Bitcoin to be closer to 180,000 for that to happen, possibly. If we get a 2x on Bitcoin, I would expect at least a 3x on Marathon at that point. All right. Do you have any indication if CleanSpark is close to completing its dilution? Once that's announced, it should really rocket. They should provide that information when they report their fiscal year-end numbers here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm waiting on that as well, but I don't think they have yet. Mark, thank you so much on that one. All right. Let's see. The machine says, I'm new to the channel. I just want to thank you for all the information you provide. I'm still very bullish on CleanSpark, Bitfarms, and Mara. Very nice. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right. Let's see. Question. It is known that Dell plus IREN have partnership, but NVIDIA Supermicro are also on their main website right next to Dell. Do you think IREN could be also helping them generate a deal? That I don't know. Honestly, I know that IREN's trying to get a deal. I'm sure of it. Just as other miners like TeraWulf, Cypher, Hut 8 are all trying to get some kind of a deal. Hopefully I'm sure they're hoping to get like a hyperscaler like CoreWeave with Core Scientific, right? Because you do not want to be spending, billions of dollars building out the data centers and putting in the HPC servers in there as well. Let's see. Question: how SPY 500 overall market will affect the miners in this bull run? That I don't know. I don't really track the SPY 500. Say if the overall market goes to a bear market, is there a historical reference for such an instance? Thanks. If we go into bear market on the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, what's the other one? I think it's Dow Jones. We've seen Bitcoin follow suit, right? We saw that happen when we had the pandemic. We had it crash down. We saw it in other times as well, but it's usually short-lived. Right now, I think the economy is still doing pretty good right now. We are getting the interest rate cuts as well. That's helping things. And we have, a bullish president as well on Bitcoin miners as well. So, I don't know. It's a different cycle, I think. All right. question. Will you invest in CoreWeave if it goes public? You will most likely say no because you don't like IPO. But besides that, why would you not invest in it? Thanks. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the main reason is I got burnt a couple of times getting into IPOs. I think when you get into an IPO, unless it's really, really well priced, and we would have to see what their pricing is on it, people that are getting into the IPO are basic exit liquidity for early investors in those companies. So you may want to hold off, let the stock kind of find its footing a little bit before to see if it goes down before buying more into it. All right. Question: what are your thoughts on selling Bitfarms for Hive? I could see selling Bitfarms, but I don't think Hive would be the one I would get into. I think there's better miners out there that are growing much more, have a bigger hodl, whatever it might be, or just growing more, better operations. I wouldn't say better operations. Hive has really good operations, comparable to some of the big guys as well. And historically, they've been like one of the best operators. So I don't think it's that. I think it's just growth. We really need to see growth there. Okay, question. Let's say there is no HPC hype on Wolf. What is the fair value of Wolf, and do you think it could 5x based on their fair value? Oh, gosh. Okay, take a look at where do I have Wolf right now? Based on their Bitcoin mining, right? This is just based on their Bitcoin mining. We saw Marathon here just a second ago. Let me pull this up. So Marathon right now I think is pretty fairly valued, right? Between 16 and 24, they're at 2107 right now. And then check out TeraWolf here. TeraWolf is interesting. TeraWolf, I think, should be between $2.66 and $4. They're at $7.18. They're double from what I think they should be already as it is. Whereas some of the other miners like Riot is looking pretty fairly valued right now. And IREN, I think, is actually showing probably that it's undervalued right now. Yeah, undervalued, right? That one should be much higher. Hut 8. The Hut 8 is getting it based on their HPC high potential there, so that one's way overvalued as well. Hive, let's take a look at Hive here really quick. Hive is actually undervalued in my book right now. CORZ Scientific is going to be probably, so in here I'm including the revenue here for their, let's see, yeah, this is for the future 500 million roughly of revenue. That between 21, 23, and 3184, so I think they're kind of still undervalued based on that. Cleanspark here, let's see, they have between 1790 and 26, they're at 14. I think they're definitely undervalued. Plus, if you use the revenue that they had in October times 12 months, I mean, still way under that. So, yeah, I mean, could they 5x from here? No. If it was based on somewhere around there, so if they were like 350, could they do a 5x on top of that, getting to like $15 to $20 per share during the bull run based on their Bitcoin mining operations? Okay, I could see that. Yeah, but if they don't get a huge deal there with HPCI, I just don't see them getting to $35. But I think a lot of that's being priced in right now. Being at $7 right now, it's just they're way overvalued for their Bitcoin mining operation side of things. So what is it for? It's for HPCI. All right, took that one. What else we here? All right. What would Bitcoin need to be for these companies to actually show a profit on our quarterly results? I think right around here. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these guys are break even at around like 50, 60, and 70,000 for the most part at that point. So Bitcoin being at 90,000 right now is having a much needed effect on their profitability. All right. Thoughts on Ethereum? I have Ethereum, but I'm not a big bull on Ethereum. I don't know if it's because I don't know if the impact of going to proof of stake instead of proof of work is the main reason for it, why it might not perform that well going forward. It's done pretty well here recently, but still hasn't been doing as well as Bitcoin has been, right? So I just don't know, and I think it'll do fine. But I don't think it's going to be like a face melting, face ripping increase in price on that one. Okay. Yeah. Do I hold any alts also? Yeah, I own Doge. I own a little bit of Cardano, HBAR, and what's the other one that I have in there? Sia Coin, I think I still have some of that. No. All right. James, I'm sorry if I missed your question here. Why would IREN continue to dilute if they sell all their mine BTC? Shouldn't the profit sufficient for growth alone? No. That is not going to be enough for them. Remember, the sites they're building out cost them about $650,000 per megawatt. Then add on top of that the machines you need there. So they weren't generating that much earlier this year, even later on this year as Bitcoin price was coming down as well, right? So they will need to dilute at that point. All right. Do you think MicroStrategy? No. Could merge? No, I don't think that's going to happen. What else here? Trying to catch up to some of the questions here. Okay. All right, here it is. Okay, question. Would it be okay to sell in December before the institutions because they would sell for profit before closing the yearly accounts? Thanks. Yeah, we saw that last year happening. Bitcoin and miners were going up quite nicely, probably about week and a half before the end of the year. And then we saw miners and Bitcoin kind of come down a little bit on it. So there was definitely some profit taken there. Put it on the books. Let's see. Okay. Is Mara a good bet, Seb? I think so. They're definitely the biggest one here, right? And if they can get, like somebody put it out there, mining like 900 BTC this month, that's going to be a fabulous month for them. So, yeah, I'd like to see better operations and things like that. But yeah, I think they're I think a safe bet. How many X do you think we could do from the current price on the main BTC miners? From here up, I still think 3 to 5X is possible. Bitcoin going up above 180,000, 200,000. A lot of people seem to think we might be going like to 250,000. At that point, we're going even higher as well. So I still think there's a lot of money to be made here. It's just going to be volatile. It's going to be not an easy joyride. It's going to be a painful joyride. You're definitely going to get gut checked a couple of times before we reach all-time highs. Let's see. You really think it's worth selling Bitfarms? I mean, the problem if you go anywhere else, if you're going to reset your long-term capital gains tax rate. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely tax gains on that. But I mean, if you go up 3 to 5X on some of these, even 2X, you know, I don't mind paying Uncle Sam. I'm still going to be up huge. So it's just, we have to evaluate or weigh, could Bitfarms still do the 3 to 5 or X, whatever potential that we think more, or will they be subdued where they only do at 2X, where some of the other miners might do 3 to 5X? So you kind of have to look at it that way. Where would your capital be best placed in to have the best gains on it? Okay. Sir, how we find out how much it costs to make one Bitcoin as a normal miner? As a normal miner? Like, the cost on that to mine one Bitcoin for some of these guys, some of the more efficient ones and lower cost ones, you're looking at 24 to 27,000 at that point. Could you get it done lower than that? Maybe if you had free electricity or really, really low cost of electricity at that point. Okay. Hi Seb, is there a relation between Bitcoin dominance down, miners up? I don't know. I never looked into it, so I'm not sure. Okay. Let's see here. Hi Seb, did you watch the interview of Cleanspark chairman with Ben? Refinance. Oh yeah. Heard in that interview that hedge funds are investing in ETFs and MicroStrategy while shorting miners. Still confident? Yeah, I think that at a certain point that will end. Because the miners, like I said, at a certain point, which we're getting in that point right now, where Bitcoin being at 90,000 to 100,000 plus, this is where they're going to be extremely profitable, and even more so as Bitcoin goes up in value. So, yes, eventually they will, I think, stop or cease shorting and then they might actually flip it where they go into the miners more so, and maybe short some of like MicroStrategy and the ETFs maybe. All right, Ed, thanks so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, I talked about that already. Okay. Hi, Seb. I don't know why people think Trump would keep his word on creating a strategic reserve for Bitcoin. That's a good question, but you got Cynthia Lummis already drafting a bill there, right? There's also, I think, some people that are in support of it, or a lot of people actually are in support of it, but time will tell, right? Yeah. Trust but verify is what I always say. Trust in what you hear, but verify that it does actually happen with anything. Eric, thank you so much. Okay. Let's see here. People with money use leverage and many methods to position well for bull run. Am I the only one that feels left out because I still have a job and not enough time to study the market and do more? Yeah. How do I even respond to that? Yeah, I mean, you gotta, best thing I can say is live below your means, invest as much as you can, learn about the markets, learn about everything that you can as much as you can. At that point, that will definitely make a lot more impact on your life, I think, than going out and partying, spending money that you don't need to spend things on, right? Sometimes you also have to put off things that you may want, right? Want and need are two different things. Things that you need to stay alive, you need to get those wants, you can push off to the side. Take the money that you would have spent on the wants, put it into investing, you'll do much better in the next 5-10 years going forward. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Absolutely. See, Mike says, guys, Bitcoin will run to October 2025. No need to panic. Yeah, people that haven't been through these cycles before definitely don't know what it feels like to go through a cycle like that, where you're going up, and all of a sudden, hey, we're gonna keep going up, but nope, we keep going down. So it's definitely a gut check for some of these people, and especially people that got into it at higher prices of these miners, like I keep saying. Let's see, will you dump Bitfarms at the end of the month with no exahash growth? Yeah, I'll definitely be probably selling some at that point. I don't know if I'm going to dump everything, but I'll dump probably a large portion of it. Especially since they've been saying that they were supposed to get miners in there into Stronghold in October and now November. Okay, we need miners in there. All right, covered that one already. All right, I said we have got into miners now, so in the next 4 to 5 months, what can we expect? Volatility for sure, but I believe the miners will be going up. Miners will typically front run Bitcoin. So we just need to continue to see adoption happening for Bitcoin, nation states buying it, pension funds, all that stuff. As long as all that stuff is happening, Bitcoin's going up much higher than we think. And then, read as much as you can. Stay up to date on all the information here that's happening with Bitcoin, the miners, and everything else. And yeah, eventually I think we're going to start $2 cost average out of this stuff, because we just don't know where the top's going to be. And I do not want to be, round tripping again. Talked about that. All right. Now, I said almost all miners are in profit. Do you know whether stocks start accelerating? When is the historic parabolic phase starts? Right around now, towards the second third of November, which is kind of like where we are right now, or the third of November. So it's kind of like where we are right now. At least last cycle, this is when it happened. We also saw that happening to a certain extent, I think, also back in the 2017 cycle, or 2016 into 2017 as well. You're very welcome as always. Let's see. Bits Digital earnings tomorrow. Will you be covering it? Undervalued the most, in my opinion. I don't know if they're the most undervalued, but I think they are undervalued for sure. And I'll probably cover it only because I want to see what's going on there with them. And we've had them on as a large miner here for a while. Just recently been put back into the small miners. All right. Question is ATM 2 completed for IREN, and we have to endure another ATM 3. That I don't know. Thoughts on XP or RXP? Gosh, I had friends that got into it back in the 2017 cycle, and they did pretty well at that point. But, what is the premise for XRP? The premise for XRP is to be to replace the SWIFT banking system, basically, right? And what's holding the banks from doing their own XRP token for anything? Yes, they've gotten some traction there a little bit, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of XRP. There's really no moat around it. People can create their own tokens and things like that. Banks can create their own tokens. Governments can create their own tokens if they wanted to. So there's really no moat for them. Will miners catch up, or will we continue to see this connect to BTC? They will catch up eventually. I just don't know exactly when it's going to be. We should be seeing it, within the next couple of weeks here. What do you think Riot's peak price will be if Bitcoin hits 100,000 to 110,000? I mean, that's 10,000, 20,000 away right now. Right? Riot's at, where's Riot at right now? Right, as of Friday was at 12. I mean, we could be like $15, $18, something like that. Conservatively thinking, but we could be higher than that also. All right. What would be your 3 most undervalued miners to buy for stock price appreciation? I think it's IREN and Cleanspark right now, and Bitfarms was in that also, but I need to see much better growth from them. Other than them, I would say maybe Riot after that, after Bitfarms. All right. Hey Seb, whether you will sell before peak or start taking profit after certain, I'll start taking profits before we peak. At least that's the goal, right? If we peak at 100,000 right now, and I'm thinking it's going to 150,000, well, I'm definitely going to miss the peak, but I still think we're going to be going higher. So I am looking to take profits as we go up, and it'll be like, I'm going to sell 5% here in my positions, 5% there, but slowly I'm going to dollar cost average out of those things. All right. Eric says, I'm not an expert on P&F charts, but all miners show very bullish price objective. Bitfarms only one shows very bearish PO at 50 cents. I'm very long on Bitfarms, but thought I'd share annoying. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's unfortunate that you're seeing that. Okay. So are you going to retire if you can't cash out over $1 million for your miners? No, even if I do, I'm not going to retire. So that's just something to help accelerate. I mean, the cycle is something to help accelerate my wealth, right? My wealth, something that I can use to then make it grow even faster. So, no, I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon here. I like working, and I probably work too much anyways as it is, but I enjoy it. It keeps me busy. I'd rather be doing this than watching TV and, riding my brains out. So I will continue to do this. Let's see here. Hello. Let me see. I probably should put this one up on top. All right, here we go. Hello, Sebastian. Sorry for a little bit off topic, but can you tell my friend Orkhan to discuss on his remote work instead of watching Sebastian to focus on his remote work? Oh, yeah. If he's not, then he should definitely work. Yeah, do that on your lunch breaks or whenever. Let's see. Last cycle didn't start running until January. I think it will play out same way this cycle. Last cycle, it really wasn't a miner until, remember, we had the bull run in January 2021. But they pivoted to becoming a Bitcoin miner in January, where they bought a facility that had 100 petahash at that point. The stock, I think, front ran that news much more so, and then as they continue to increase their hash rate, the stock actually went down, I believe, in 2021 as Bitcoin was going up because they were just way overpriced at that beginning. So I wouldn't even look at that prior cycle for them as being a Bitcoin miner. All right. Excuse me. Let's see. My thinking for future cycles, companies that own land and infrastructure and build out will do better than ones who don't. I also believe that. They can easily replace miners and machines without having to build further. Yeah. All right. Okay. Hi, Seb. Love your show. Oh, thank you very much. What miners do you think are most undervalued? I talked about that. Cleanspark, IREN. I was going to say Bitfarms, but Bitfarms, I need to see, like I said, better operations or better growth. And then Riot probably at that point now. Hi, so Bitfarms has infrastructure in place for 500 megawatts, but are you concerned about getting the funding for the miners? The miners have been already, for the most part, I think, purchased to get to 21. The question was to get to 35 exahash, which they were talking about earlier this year about getting next year sometime. They're going to have to dilute, possibly, to do that. So there's going to be some dilution for that as well. All right. thought for explosive gains on smaller miners, Sphere 3D, Griffin, Cannon. Cannon has not performed anywhere near what Bitcoin has done here in the last year to 2 years. So I take that one off completely. Sphere 3D also. Not much updates from them since August for production updates. That's concerning to me. That means that they're in a cash crunch right now. They don't want to spend the money on press releases. I don't know how well they're going to be able to survive. They also don't have any infrastructure there, right? Griffin, also another small miner there. They just replaced Rob Cheng as CEO with another gentleman that was on the board there. So there's still a turmoil happening there. I don't know why. I have to look a little bit more into it. But those are more like lottery tickets, right? You might strike it there, but you might not. So only bet what you're willing to lose on those guys. What do you think the BTC peak bull price or peak price will be this bull run? My original target was 180,000. Now with everybody talking about this strategic reserve for Bitcoin on the United States, I'm thinking it's going to be maybe higher than 200, maybe 250,000, somewhere around there. Question. Said Bitfarms up 8% overnight market hours. Well, that's great. I think it's way undervalued from where it is right now. Okay. Well, maybe the news is that I'm going to be selling here and people are going to start buying it. All right. Sometimes it feels like it feels like you're holding on to things, and then when you sell, thing goes up. It's like so frustrating. It's like, yeah, but we're still holding on to it. All right. Do you ever think we're just wrong and that it's possible for BTC to go to 200,000 and the miners are still at current price? Oh, no, they shouldn't be at current price. I mean, at Bitcoin being at 200,000, let me see here. Marathon and Cleanspark both made about 650, I think it was Bitcoin last month, right? Take 650 Bitcoin times, wait, I would do that too many. 650 Bitcoin times 200,000, they are generating, well, 130 million in a month. Times that, times 12, you're looking at 1.5 billion in basically revenue for the year if it stays that way, right? And they're generating it at a cost of 27, or at least Cleanspark is around 27,000. So you got, what is that? 80-some% profit margin at that point? No. There's no way that the miners are going to be staying that low. All right, talked about that. Let me see. Question, Seb, the price action on Bitfarms on Friday and now overnight seems like news coming this week. That would be great, right? We'd love to see some news here. Let's see. Jose says, thank you for all you do, Sebastian. You are the mining metric goat. Smash the like button, guys. I appreciate it. All right. I think we're all caught up here with all your guys' questions here. I don't see anything else here. But yeah, if you got Bitcoin pumping here, that would be nice. And, well, Bitcoin Bitfarms as well. Bitcoin and Bitfarms, I think, are both undervalued from where they should be going on here. So they'll definitely be much better for us in the long run. All right. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. And then let's see here. We have one more final question here. What impact do you think nation mining operations such as Bhutan have on traded mining companies? Bhutan is partnered with Bitdeer, right? So they're not like really doing it themselves. I think they have some operations there as well. But nation states could do much better than with just buying Bitcoin outright. You don't have to deal with building out the infrastructure, getting the ASIC, spending money on that, and then it's. I just don't see it. I just think that they would be better off buying Bitcoin at that point. All right. And then also last one here. Thoughts on Soluna. I've talked about them before. I covered them like a year and a half ago before they started having financial trouble. They got a new CEO there. He's doing much better things, but I need to do some more research on them. I know they've been doing a lot of partnerships and things like that. So I can't really comment on it because I just don't know. But they're definitely much smaller as well. Well, they're a little bit bigger than some of the other guys, but they've been also, what's the word? Concentrating more on hosting mining and things like that. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. All right, we're going to call it a day. I'm done. Because otherwise we can continue going on here with all the questions here. We've already been going on for an hour and a half, so I need to go to sleep as well. We got work tomorrow. All right, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to be on, on a Spaces at 7 o'clock Central Time with Quantum Expedition, I think. Yeah, Quantum Expedition with Matt there and I think the CEO there as well. They asked me to come on there to their space. I said, yeah, sure. Yeah, if I have time, I'll definitely come on. So they asked me on it, and I said that I would. we'll talk about miners, energy, things like that tomorrow on the Wolf Space. That's on Twitter. You guys should be able to see that as well. Okay, but that's it. Love you all. Thanks so much for coming in here. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead. And I think the better days are still ahead of us. So I'm pretty sure they are. I'll see you guys tomorrow.